Good morning, guys. How is everybody? It's Friday, Cinco de Mayo. Happy holiday to all of you. Fair warning in the beginning, today's vlog is entirely about this new marvel of cinematography tools, the new Panasonic GH5, and a little bit of comparison to the old king, the GH4. So if you're not interested in cameras and technical details and don't want to hear about the latest and greatest tech for filmmakers, I think it's okay if you skip this episode and just go to the next one. Why am I even making this video? It's because I'm excited about this camera. I'm in love with it. I've been using it for just a few days. I have been using GH4 for a few years. I've been vlogging with GH4 almost every day for the past year. This camera is becoming popular for a reason. People like Casey Neistat have switched to it, which speaks for itself. My review is not going to be super long and completely comprehensive, talking about every single menu item. I'm just going to list some of my favorite features and why I think it's worth upgrading to this camera. First and most of all, the size difference. I know this GH4 does not have a lens on right now, but if you look at the specs for this camera, the dimensions difference is minimal. If you put them side by side, they don't look that different. This video shows the difference exactly. So GH5 body is just slightly bigger. It doesn't seem like it would make a lot of a difference, but when you take this out of the box and you hold it in your hand, it immediately feels like a more substantial, more serious, bigger camera. GH4, as serious as it was for filmmakers, always felt a little too small in my hand and more like a compact camera. Now this is finally starting to feel like a camera that means business. So just the shape and size of the grip versus GH4 makes a huge difference here already. Is it important how the camera feels in your hand? Well, if you're working with it every day, yes, absolutely. Next, you open the swivel LCD and you power the camera on. And the LCD itself is tiny, a little bit bigger. It does seem nicer than GH4, although I would lie if I said that it's a huge difference, but it doesn't hurt to have the additional real estate on it. Point number 3, dual SD card slots. There are 3 options for this. You can record continuously, which means when one card ends, the camera automatically starts recording on the other card without stopping the video, without any interruption. The video is of course split, but then when you merge the files, they look completely smooth as if nothing ever happened. 2, you can record exact copy of all your videos and photos on the second card. And 3, you can record separately. Videos go on one card, photos go on the other card. So now let's think about it. 512 gigabyte super fast cards are available on the market and they're not horribly expensive. They're not cheap, but if you're getting all this gear, they're probably within your reach. That means you have 1 terabyte of data on memory cards in the camera. So if you're an average user and you want to record 4K video in MOV or MP4 format, that gives you about, let's calculate this quickly, that gives you close to 12 hours of 4K video uninterrupted recording on the camera. Of course, you will run out of the battery power much faster than you run out of space. If you provide continuous power, you can keep recording for almost 12 hours. Yes, GH5 can actually record video for as long as there's space on the card. No limitation how long of a clip you can record at once, which means theoretically you could go up to 12 hours. Pretty good, right? This feature alone is worth the upgrade from the GH4. Absolutely. Favorite feature number 4, I think it's number 4, dual stabilization. This body has a built-in stabilization on the sensor. And if you use compatible lens that also has image stabilization, you have double the power. That is awesome. That makes your footage really stable. I want to show you guys a curious clip. Did not plan on doing this. On one of our recent vlogs, the lens hood on the camera was accidentally twisted like this, which means you can see the corners of the lens hood in the frame when recording the video at wide angle. Total accident, did not plan on doing this. It was also a sunny day, so I was shooting at a pretty tight aperture, meaning I had a large depth of field, and you can see those black corners in the video very clearly. Accidentally, that shows you how much work the image stabilization is really doing, because if there was no image stabilization, those corners of the lens hood would be clearly visible all the time, and the same amount of them would be visible. That wouldn't change. But because you have stabilization on the sensor and on the lens, the camera is trying to stabilize the image as you move, which means it constantly crops a little bit on the sides and of course in the corners. So just take a look at this clip and see how much those black shapes in the corners of the video move during the footage. That's an indication of how hard the image stabilization is working. Overall, I absolutely love it. For event shooters, this is priceless. Number 5, focus transition. I have to show you guys an example. This is what it does. You simply pick a start focusing point and the second focusing point. You can also add a third focusing point if you want to. Then you start recording the video, and as soon as you hit the second point, the camera will just shift the focus automatically. You can adjust the speed of the focus shift. This is such a beautiful tool. I tried doing this manually at weddings many times with different results. This makes it just so easy and perfect. I was waiting for that feature. Thank you, Panasonic. Now the big question that everybody is asking, how is this camera performing in low light compared to GH4? There is a difference. They put a new sensor in this one. Higher ISOs are available. The higher ISOs are cleaner than in GH4. How big of a difference is it? You judge for yourself. Is this as clean as 5D Mark IV? No, it's not. Does it do a good job? Relatively, yes. I'm happy with it. I shot a ton of weddings with GH4, never really had a problem. This is certainly good enough for me. There's also a feature of this camera that is called 4K zoom panning, which means if you don't need to shoot 4K video and you're fine with 1080p, you can just put the camera on the tripod or even a monopod, stabilize it in some way, and do this. Watch. So basically you set the starting frame and you set the ending frame. The camera will pan automatically or zoom and pan at the same time once you start shooting. Pretty good, and again, if you're an event shooter, very, very useful. GH5, just as GH4, has a lot of programmable buttons. There's an FN1, FN2, FN3, FN4, FN5. There's a button here that you can program, which means you can assign any of the available functions that you want to these buttons. So you can basically customize the controls of this camera to your liking. But by default, what the FN button does is super cool and convenient. Again, you press it. What happens is you can now adjust white balance with the front wheel and the ISO of the camera with the rear wheel here. And you can just keep going back and forth. Brilliant! It seems so simple, and yet it wasn't there before. It's just such a convenient feature. You just press this one button and you have access to adjusting those two values on one screen. It's a small thing, but it's just so efficient. Previously you had to press one button, adjust, press the second button, adjust. This just makes it faster. Yes, it's a very small little detail, I know, but it just makes working with this camera even easier, and it makes your everyday life better. Last but not least, this camera has a wonderful control over Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. The Panasonic app on iOS could be different. I don't know how it works on Android. I'm assuming it's the same, but it works. It lets you control remotely from your phone the camera's focus, white balance, ISO, aperture, shutter speed, and of course start and stop recording. Brilliant! You can also wake the camera up and put it to sleep from your phone if it's connected through Bluetooth. Imagine you're that wedding shooter again. One camera is standing on the balcony in the church during the ceremony. You don't have to run up there to refocus it or see if it's still recording or change the white balance. You just do it from your phone, from downstairs, while operating the second camera. Don't tell that to brides. We do need that second person operating the second camera because it's not that easy. Not everything can be automated, but it is a super cool feature. Thank you, Panasonic, again. Apart from what I mentioned here today, this camera still remains relatively small and very lightweight. You can walk around with it all day like this if you vlog. The swivel LCD is priceless if you vlog because you need to see yourself very often. There's so many other cameras out there that just don't get it right. You can have the external mic on it. audio controls on this camera are absolutely awesome. If you're using compatible mic, there's a list of microphones that will respond to this. You can actually control the angle at which the microphone captures sound. So you can capture sound from a very wide angle or have it very directional. And you can connect Pro SLR inputs with just a little additional gizmo that you mount on the hot shoe if you really want to capture super professional audio. I honestly think that this camera currently is the best tool on the market for the guerrilla filmmaker. Yes, I am aware Sony A9 was announced, but it's not here yet. This we can use today, and this is the winner. Also, I haven't mentioned it, but in general, the picture quality coming out of this camera is absolutely wonderful. For all those of you who argue that Canon's picture is still the best, you can set this up in very similar ways to match the typical Canon juicy, beautiful skin tones. And it also can be used in very advanced ways because the set of features on this body is absolutely amazing. If you guys have any questions, please hit me up in the comments. I'll be more than happy to reply. I'm still learning some things about this camera. I've been working with it only for a few days. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you'll subscribe to this channel so you can get notified about our future uploads. And if you decide to get this bad boy, I would love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments. Till then, good night. Why do I even want to make this video? Because why do I even want to make this video? Why am I even making this video?